Alright guys, so this is part 2 of my paper shield. My paper shield. I have a frame here. I have 2 support rods. They're just duplicates of the top. One strategy here, I cut, here I'll point, I focus, focus, come on, okay, right here and here I cut because it was all wrinkled up and wasn't working very well. So now to put these in, simply, they're going to be a pretty tight fit. Simply put them in and then slide them on down. Or just put them in where they need to go in the first place. So, let me tape in this first one. This first support tube, support rod. It gets more narrow down at the bottom, so it won't fit quite as well. Sorry. But it's fine. Lou, stop. But it's fine because you can just trim it off. Like this right here. Just cut that off. No, it'll fit. Sad part is I cut off a little too much. So now I have to slide it down for it to be that tight. Which stinks because I want it up here. I can just, it won't be as tight, but it's fine. Okay. I cut off like an inch there. And keep in mind that these measurements are not going to be exactly the same for each of our shields. Because you might have made your shield differently. Kind of. But, it's, support rods, they don't really come out because they're in pretty tightly. So, sorry, I knocked my camera. You don't have to use as much tape. Make sure you use some tape, though. Alright, now, it's time to make the faces. This is gonna be, not even kidding, the hardest part. And the most time-consuming part. That's why I have pretty much an entire part dedicated to this. The shield is very sturdy so far. Let me get back so you guys can see it a little better. And that'll work. So, right here, we have our shield. Support bar. It's very sturdy for paper. So, it's good work so far. And if you made this far, congratulations, because this model is really time consuming, and honestly, if I were watching a tutorial for it, I would just pretty much abandon it by now. But I have to make it, in case anybody actually does want to make one of these. And if you do make one, then it's really cool. You can put, like, if you, for some reason, have a family crest, which probably exists in some parts of England, but not where I live. You could put that lion symbol thing on it, the front, but it's pretty much customizable. You only need to make one face. Optional is the back face, but it honestly does not help at all in the least bit. Makes no difference. It just uses more paper, more tape, and more time. And so I'm not making another. But what is annoying is you gotta take all these pieces of paper and tape them on. You gotta make a big sheet of paper and cut it out with like an X-Acto knife. Or the preferred method, at least by me, is to do it kind of like this and then tape it down on like the support bars, and it involves a lot less cutting, a lot less exact taping, a lot less tape probably. Might not be quite as pretty, but a lot easier. Alright. I'm sitting here painstakingly taping all this down. Alright. And it's up to you whether you want to tape all the pieces of paper together, or if you just want to tape them onto the bar. This is what it looks like from the back. Oh, and I don't know if I already said this, but you want to make the support bars as tight as possible. The main frame doesn't have to be quite as strong because you can kind of bend it out. With support bars, you definitely want it strong. And you can add more support bars. It's actually kind of recommended. Add more support bars if you're actually going to be using this. Probably add 2 more. One right along here, one right along here. But it's optional. And it helps, but it's not. Definitely say if you want a really nice sturdy model, definitely go with more support bars. Spend more time on the stability, the taping, all the stuff that makes it work as far as stableness and all that, rather than detailed direct decoration. Honestly, if you put enough support bars in here, you don't even have to add the paper. I guess I'll call it a mask. The mask is completely optional, but if you're not going to make the mask, then you're going to make at least 7 million support bars. You can get creative. You can use all your tape. You can do all that. In the second sheet, you don't necessarily have to tape it to the top, because there's already one tape to the top and you've connected it, but it's good to do that. Alright, so I've taped these two. Lobo, silence, I kill you. I eat your children. Okay, so now, when all that's done, don't mind my dog. You're gonna want to flip it over and tape it on the back. And I'm not gonna lie, this project takes lots of tape. That's why you want to go for the thinner clear tape. It's a lot less expensive. It's like $2 for an entire roll. And the roll is longer than regular Scotch tape. And it doesn't have to be quite as thick. Because, you know, you can just tape it. And besides, I like the clear tape a lot better. The glossy kind of tape. A lot better than like magic tape, which is like $4 a roll. So yeah. Alright, so as soon as I finish off here, I'm gonna show you. You're also gonna tape at the dollar store. I'm gonna show you how you want to tape these bars to your paper face. You want to tape it like this. See how I did that? Kind of like arches, same thing, pretty much. No, not the same thing. but like so. Simple. Tape back here a little. Just a little bit. You wanna, when you come down to here, you see how this is taped together just by one little piece of tape that doesn't go all the way along. But see how that's done? When you're in the middle here, you definitely want to make sure that's taped together, the paper's taped together really well, especially up around this area. Around the top of the next piece of paper and the bottom of this first one. So I'm gonna pretty much cut out the rest of my masking kind of process because it's basically the same. I might add a little section on the bottom and how you're gonna do that. But unnecessary, but very, very helpful. You just take a really long piece of tape, tape down this middle, right here. Okay, now for the bottom. I'm sorry, I didn't even show that to you. Tape down this middle part. I'm not used to not having a tripod, even though I've never had a tripod. You could leave this bottom open. Probably don't want to. But you can. It's like an open spot, weak spot, if you're going to be using it. So, the way you're going to want to do this part is probably going to want to cut your paper about in half. Doesn't have to be too good, but cut it in half and just tape it on like that. And then I'll do that. Cutting it straighter will make it look a little better because you are seeing the places where it's being cut, but not that big of a deal because it doesn't really affect it. It can be, you can use a full piece of paper, but that's kind of a waste considering it's just such a small area that you have to cover up. So yeah, I'll see you when I'm done taping the bottom. Show you this. When you're taping down this back, you're going to want to take your piece of tape, just a piece of tape, and put it on like that. So it's working. Yeah, that'll substitute the support bar part. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like re-record this entire thing because I screwed up something. And alright, so that's what your finished face mask is gonna look like. It looks, I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty nice. You can put decoration on it. When you're looking at it in the light, you can see the support bars and stuff. So you can add a second layer. If among the brave, you can add a second layer because I don't want to waste that much tape, that much paper. So I'm not going to. So now we're gonna move on to the strap. I'm probably gonna have to do this. Because I'm gonna have to make sure everybody sees this part. Smells like Oreos. Alright. Okay, so I just made a makeshift tripod out of a cookie jar and an apple. So, watch me for that. So, what you're going to want to do is take your piece of paper, Origami Master style, fold it in half, lengthwise. Again, I'm not being very Origami Masterly. It doesn't have to be super straight. Again, this is the back. Well, not again, but I'm just saying this is the back of the, and you want to fold it over again, but this is the back of the model, so you're not going to be seeing it. So basically, take a piece of paper, fold it in half lengthwise, fold it in half lengthwise again. Alright, so you're going to want to make sure that it's a little bit longer than both of your support bars. And it is. So what you want to do, take your arm, and it's really depending on what arm you're going to hold this with. If you're going to hold this with if you're a righty, you're going to want to hold this with your left arm. And so basically that's like a fold. So you're going to put your left arm in there, make sure it's nice and loose. Sort of use your fingernail mark little fold lines. So like that, and then you're going to want to tape it like that. So I'm going to take my tape, just tape it down. Very simple, easy as 3.14. I'm a nerd. Nerd alert. Okay, let me just do this, hoping you can see the way I'm doing this. And then, yes, you can see. Okay, so then take bottom, make sure it's taped down to the sides. Okay, now do it for the other side. I'm gonna do it a little differently this time. I'm gonna tape it like that. And then I'll take a little piece of tape, take it and put it down there. And then this is, again, molding off of your arm. So now your left arm, let me roll up my sleeve a little bit, because, okay, make sure you reinforce that tape that's holding down the arm. You can probably see what I'm doing. No, you can't. And you're going to want to just reinforce this tape, because if your arm doesn't fit perfectly, then it'll come up. So just reinforce that. I'm going to roll up my sleeve, and your arm should fit in there about up to there. So your fist should be close to the end of the shield. And it doesn't have to be perfectly. It has to be pretty much touching the edge of the shield. And so now we're going to move on to the bar that you're holding on to, the actual handle. So now I'm just going to roll up, it doesn't have to be very strong, so I'm just going to roll up some paper lengthwise, horizontally. I'm just going to roll up a horizontal, make sure it's tight so it's still relatively strong. It's not going to be as strong as if you rolled it up the way you did for the rest of the shield, But it doesn't have to be as strong because it's probably not going to bend. It's supposed to bend, actually. Now take your bar. Okay, it's very important. Take this. Step one, place it. Make sure your arm is in so you know where to place it. Okay, right there. That works. Right here works. Okay, step two, bend it right there. Step three, bend it right there. Fold it, crease it. Work it harder. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, make it stronger, because your work is never over. I know I skipped part of it, but it doesn't matter. So now take your scissors, doesn't have to be, or you could like measure this, kind of, but I am very lazy, so I'm just gonna go like this, and hopefully that's even. If not, I'll cut off from them. Now, make sure it's actually taller than you want it. And then bend over the edge, just a little taller than you want it. And bend over the edge. Make sure your arm parts right here are flat. And then just bend over an edge for the tape to go on. Did he say an arrow to a knee joke? No? That stinks. Okay. Okay. This is one of the harder parts. I'll admit, this is hard. Because of taping. Takes forever. Probably cutting out like 20%, 20,000% of this handle part. Not the part where I say it's hard, because that needs to stay in there because it is hard. Remember when I said the mask was the hardest part of the model? It's not. Changed my mind. Okay, it's not that hard, it's hard. But, again, this is more of an intermediate. It's more of an intermediate model. It's not easy. I would rate it intermediate. Just, it's easy for me because I'm paper crafting experience. I've done harder models, but yeah, I've done prettier models as well. Okay, there you go. Now your shield is pretty much complete. All you have to do now is add a logo or whatever. You don't have to. Probably reinforce the handle a little bit. Make sure when you hold it pushing your wrist up against the actual paper mask. And there you go, your shield is complete. I'll probably be making a sword to go along with the shield. Coming up in the future, Happy Cow video. This sort of a secret project I'm working on. This is a template kind of thing. If you've watched Epic Fantasy videos, he's a channel, he's epic. If you watch the guy Epic Fantasy, you probably know what this is. But that's it. So there's a half-hour long video until I edit it. I'm gonna have a good time editing this. And I'm gonna give this as the difficulty. This model is gonna get 3 out of 5. Not that bad. It's pretty hard. Not a beginner's model. If you're a beginner, I'll be making my sword tutorial. That's gonna be harder. But I'll make my Desert Eagle tutorial sooner or later. After I make the sword. Make that. It's gonna be a lot easier than this per se. But why do I keep saying per se? But that's it. See you next time.